Welcome to the Myth of Motherhood, a podcast by, for, and about moms and those who love them. I don't believe in TMI, and this is a 100% judgment-free zone because there is no one right way to be a mother. There is only your right way. I'm your host, Alyssa Alter, a Brooklyn-based mom, women's health expert, and motherhood advocate. Curious to learn more about what I do and why I do it? Visit alyssa-alter.com. All right, let's get this myth-busting party started. Welcome back to this week's episode of Myth of Motherhood. I am so excited to share today's conversations. It's one conversation. I said conversations, but it's one conversation with the Tara Stiles of Strala Yoga. Tara is the co-founder of Strala Yoga. She's a best-selling author and well-being expert, and she revolutionized yoga for millions of people, transforming a practice so often seen as foreign, dogmatic, and guru-based into an everyday movement practice that supports ease and well-being. Strala Yoga is practiced in more than 100 countries around the world. Thousands of guides lead Strala classes around the globe, and Tara shares daily yoga with thousands of people on the Strala Yoga app, which I highly, highly recommend that you check out. Learn more at stralayoga.com. And Tara is so fun to be around. I am 0% surprised that she reaches and speaks to so many people because she really is in the most not intimidating way. She is such a yogi, really like practicing and living and leading by example. A life of presence and curiosity. And we talk about perfectionism, both in business, in yoga, in movement, in parenting, and how she doesn't understand it. She literally doesn't have that in her body, which is so cool. and it's cool in a way that it's like, wow, I can see what this looks like and maybe explore that for myself rather than being like, oh my God, I could never do that. She has been profiled by the New York Times. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. The New York Times, it's kind of a big deal. The Times of India, the Times of the UK, and featured in most national and international magazines. You can follow her on Instagram at Tara Stiles, and I recommend that you do. She really has an approach to movement, to yoga, to life that you want to experience alongside her. You want to, am I fangirling too hard? Can you tell that I'm fangirling? Because I am. And I am really so honored that Tara spent some time with us and spent some time with me, as she is really awesome and shares this desire to explore how we're behaving on the mat, how we're approaching movement, our bodies, ourselves, our experience, and how that translates off the mat. And something that, a couple of things that we talked about that really, really have stuck in my brain and are going to stick with me is shifting our mindset, in the context of a yoga class, from the goal being handstand scorpion or a full split or whatever it is, to the goal being improvement. Just improving one aspect of our practice anytime we practice, right? Whether that's the connection to the breath, whether it is the depth of a pose, whether it is how much ease can I find in this, how quiet can my mind be, how loud can my mind, whatever it is, improving just a little bit each time. And we also talked about how the pace in life changes and how we sort of dance with that, how we counterbalance that and find balance within something that is constantly shifting. So it's never, we find the balance and then it's found and we're good forever, right? This is constantly changing, which I personally find annoying, yet true. And we're always navigating it. And her perspective on approaching that really, I just love it. And I'm so excited to share it with you today. And I want to point out something she says that I think I'm going to have to write on like a sticky note and keep it up nearby, is that if you can't do it slow, you can't do it fast. Boom. Okay, so listen to the episode. I think within the context of our conversation, that will be even more impactful. And keep an ear out as we started an impromptu giveaway where you could be the recipient of a custom knit hat by the Tara Stiles of Strala Yoga. If upon completion of the episode, DM me on Instagram at Alyssa Alter and tell me the number of times that we say pickle. Why pickle? Well, you'll have to listen to find out. I can't wait to hear from you. Okay, Tara. I'm like really excited to hear your answer to this. No pressure. I don't mean pressure with that. I don't. Okay. What is something that you put a lot of pressure on yourself to do perfectly or right?
Oh my gosh, that's such an existential question. Because
you can go anywhere with it.
I just don't know if I'm good enough to even try to be perfect at anything. I feel like that's my internal struggle, really. I just feel like I try to get a little bit better each day to do all the things, but I don't even think that I qualify to try to be a perfectionist because I'm just not even close at all. Like whether it's with Daisy or organizing her or the yoga stuff, I just try to keep moving forward because that idea of, my goodness, this has got to be perfect. It's never close.
Oh my
so
God.
Just keep going.
Well, yeah. And like, oh my God, like what a beautiful answer. And, something that I was thinking about was how, like, you are a yoga teacher, a yoga guide, some people might say like guru, right? Like you are in a leadership position in yoga. Yeah.
As far as I know, that's how other people see me. Yeah.
That's right. And with that positioning, right, which in the most beautiful way, like is, and I mean, I think from what I see you exemplify is like that was a position you were lifted into by your community rather than being like, hey guys, I'm your leader, follow me. You know what I mean? Like rather than self-proclaimed, like you were sort of nominated into that, which is the best. But I think, and you tell me, but I certainly have felt this like as a Pilates instructor with like a dance background is like, then what comes with it is like, especially in yoga, this like perception that because you are in this leadership position, you are 100% enlightened all of the time. You know, that you don't have the same human struggles, right? That like you live in this like other, which is bananas. Which like that's not real. Like you are also a human. And so I love with your answer, I feel like it both was like such a yogi answer, like really just like that acceptance and presence, but also being like, yeah, because I'm not perfect. So like, why am I going to punish myself by trying to be perfect?
Yeah, what I like about all of the things that I lead, I suppose I also try to get better at them. And I think that's what's so cool about yoga and the healing arts and all the things that you do as well. It's this process of I'm never perfect. There's this perfect class, or it's always this striving to get better. Improving is the goal. So I guess I've just always taken refuge in that and been excited and say, well, it was pretty good, but next time I'll do it a little bit better. Next time I'll do a little bit better and enjoy that as, I guess, as opposed to trying to be, I don't even know how to try to be perfect. I don't know what that is. So I'll leave that for other people to be amazing.
Well, yeah, I mean, and that's like, perfection, whatever that marker is something that was like made up by someone or our interpretation of something we heard one time that then we've created. So it's also like there is no universal answer to that, which is why we're all miserable trying to find it. Like anyone who's like perfectionism, that's why it's like so awful and like self-defeating, because what is it? What is it? And it's something my therapist said recently in a different context, but it keeps making sense in other places. It's like grabbing at mist.
Yeah, it's not real. And
yeah.
That's kind of liberating. I think it's pretty cool to do your best and get better and keep doing that. Maybe that's such a simple Philistine answer, but
well, I was going to say, have you always had this perspective, or is that something that you found yourself like butting up against and having to really examine and work through, or did that come more naturally to you?
I don't know about naturally, but similar to you with the dance background, there's always someone better than you. And there's always someone, being told they're not as good and you're told you're better, whatever. There's always this, you're never going to be the best one in the whole world. So I never really decided that was a goal, to be some sort of idealized perfect. And I guess I had really good dance teachers that always said, okay, do that a little bit better. Be a little bit nicer when you go to the convention next time, or put yourself right next to that teacher you want to learn from and stand nearby. Maybe they'll pick you for something. And, I always just try to figure out ways to do not just the movements, but all of the other things just a little bit better each time. And I think from those actions, I just saw good results. I felt better because I was improving. I felt the kinds of relationships I was cultivating, whatever you want to call it. My life was just getting better from trying to improve, instead of this idea of, I don't know, I haven't really lived in that idea of perfectionism. I just don't understand it for myself. I don't have it. So I'm just so far away from it. I just keep trying to get better.
Which is so awesome. And I'm sure, and that translates into the work you do, and why people want to be in your space is to, like, you lead by example of, like, you're not swimming in that. And so this is what it could look like to still be ambitious, still be successful, however you define it, right? And outside of these prescribed parameters that, again, they're made up, but they feel so real, and like they are real, even though they're not real, like that whole thing. But that seeing you lead by example. And I keep thinking, like, your kid is so lucky.
We have a lot of fun, everybody's making it up as they go along, but we do have a lot of fun, and we talk about everything. I think that was a priority for me. I really wanted to, with her, talk about feelings and what's going on and all the situations, and just really give it a go to try to not conceal or try to be a certain way in the world for too long that isn't connected to how you actually feel. So yeah, we're having a good time for sure. I enjoy the hanging out with small people kind of thing.
Yeah, it's really, and when you can do it in that really, like, actually present way, right? Like, just being where you are, like, together and individually, as opposed to what you think it should or any of that stuff. It really is fun and exciting and enlightening. And they are, in so many ways, like, I feel this way about my son. Like, he's one of my greatest teachers, because he also looks at the world completely differently. And he also reflects things back to me about me that are just so pure. Because, like, he doesn't really have an agenda, or if he did, it's definitely to get treats, like more lollipops. Right now, lollipops are very big, but, like, that's his only agenda.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Mine's agenda is to repeat all the bad words that I say at home when we're out with friends. And that's a really good teacher because I try not to say bad words, but I do. And she knows them all. And she says them at school.
Does she at least use them in the right context?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Full on.
Okay, great. Listen, we want our kids to have full command of the English language, right? I mean, and then also learn that we have to, there's a time and a place.
Right. Which also is kind of interesting, right? So I had this conversation with her. It's probably not great that I say these bad words at home sometimes when I'm relaxed or whatever, but she's not allowed to say them at school. But when she becomes a little bit older, she is allowed to say them. So why is that the thing? So I've just decided I need to stop saying them so much, or at least leaning into them as part of my, adjectives and verbs.
Right. Show her there's a variety. We get to make decisions around this. Yeah.
Right.
Totally. My son hasn't done that yet. And I know he's 3. Like, how has he not done it yet? Like
You're
right?
better than me.
No, but I'm not. I'm not at all. I swear all the time. But we have had this conversation and he's very into poopy right now. Everything's poopy. He asked me, he said, Mommy, why won't you poop on me? And I said, I'm not going to do that. But I want you to poop on me. I'm like, no, you don't. And I'm not going to, because that's disgusting. But we've also talked about we don't do all the potty talk at school. You save that for at home. So I guess I'm going to make this a safe cesspool for language, literally. But then we can, be a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? Whatever. But be a little more judicious outside of the house.
Ooh,
right? Read the room. Read the room.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah. And something I thought about as I was getting ready to have you on the show is really, I was curious to hear from you. And now, I feel like with this perspective that you have, that's just so, it's so awesome and so refreshing. That you started building Strala. Was that before you got married or right after you got married?
I suppose I was doing all kinds of yoga things on my own before I got married. And the honest truth is I needed a space and his apartment was a little bit bigger than mine. So a little bit before I got married day, I was using his apartment for the yoga studio and putting a paper sign on the front door of, Fifth Avenue and 22nd Street, hoping the neighbors would be cool with it. So that's kind of how it started. But he liked all this stuff too, for sure. But, definitely I did things hanging around him. So it was a together project once he accepted the fact that these strangers were going to be in his living room every day.
And do you still have that paper sign?
I don't think I have that paper sign. There's a flag that I made. Before that, I was just in Central Park doing free classes and I went to Mood Fabrics and just, I had a lot of free time, sewed up this flag that said free yoga. And he was hanging around then. I had him stick it in the ground with another guy that would come until the nice police from the park said, you can't put things in the ground, but you can hold it. So I made him hold it during the whole class. I do have that somewhere, or at least we have a picture of it. Before iPhones, it was those little digital cameras. So yeah, I have that.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that. And you've from your free yoga flag in Central Park and the paper sign on the door, you've built something really remarkable and really special and really impactful, literally around the world. And how, what was...
Why do people want to do this with me? Because that's what my mom always asks me.
No, I feel like, what do you mean? I feel like that's obvious. I just, in then transitioning into parenthood, right? And like having a baby and motherhood and all of that. You know, how does that not just impact, but like inform, and like, how do you navigate those two things? How did that show up for you? What did it look like to really integrate these two things? Because entrepreneurship, I mean, that's a baby. Like that is a whole, like that, it is so consuming. And so is having a kid.
Yeah, it's a pickle, isn't it?
It's a real pickle. It puts you in a real pickle.
Especially if you want to hang out with your kid, which I do. Not everybody either wants to or structures their life that way, but I
feels like they can. I think there's also a lot of, you know, and that's shifting too, but like it doesn't even always feel like that's an option you could explore or look into.
Yeah,
but you did.
I did, because I created my own work life and life essentially. So I feel like this was one area, having a kid. Well, I decided, let's give it a try. You know, let's see if it's possible. It works for other people, but who knows? So
yeah, you never know.
You never know, but it did work, and I was really grateful. So I had to, and I'm sure this is true for a lot of people, but I was really super busy, probably my busiest leading up to getting pregnant. So I also knew that something had to give, you know, it was sort of, I'm doing way too many things, and also trying to get pregnant, not just okay, let's think about it, but just thinking about it in this way of creating space for her, because there was no space for her before. Literally in our apartment, there was no space.
Yeah, like literally, no, like this is how many square feet we had, and this is how much the crib takes.
Yeah, and no window for her, but no.
So she'll grow up in a sensory deprivation chamber, and we'll see what happens.
Right. That'll probably become, we could make it trendy if we tip the internet to our scale in that way. But
yes, one viral TikTok, and not
exactly,
that you know, and it's
and it's all set. But no, I kind of changed everything, to be honest. It was just, I was ping-ponging myself around the world. Like I was like a slingshot ball, and I'd be like, oh, cool, I'm going to go to Asia, and then I'll come back to New York, and then I'll go here and back and here and back and here and back. And all of that was amazing and wonderful and awesome. But it takes something like a big drastic idea that you want to change your life. You want to have a kid, for me at least, to figure out, oh, I can go to Asia and then stay for 5 days instead of 2, and maybe bring her along someday, or maybe have her stay with Mike. And I don't need to be running myself kind of back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So we figured out how to, now she has to go to school. I don't know what the rules are with school. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Right? She needs school. She likes to be with other kids. She's sick of me. So we kind of figured we had a few years where we could drag her along to things. Yeah. And we did that. And that was really cool. And also not just dragging her along, but we took more time in the places that we were going to, and, kind of picked our heads up a little bit and said, oh, there's other kids hanging around in these places where we have community. And now I can relate a bit more to the families instead of just the people without kids. Like I was easy to relate with those people before. So it kind of expanded my whole friend group and Strala community group and things like that to just hang around and be together and do things together. So I feel really lucky that I, had good mentors too, from Mike and our shiatsu teacher, has much more experience doing any of this stuff than I do. He's, and he would say, oh yeah, you might want to think about that, or you might want to think about that. So I had a lot of good people not telling me what to do, but making me feel like I was coming up with these ideas on my own that I absolutely was not. So that was really great.
And simply offering some insight on things that you hadn't experienced yet, so that then you have just a little more information to make your decisions.
Exactly. So I just feel really lucky that we can hang around with her. And as time moves on, finding the right balance. Now she is in school, so I just went to Asia by myself. And that was actually fun because she had been with me on every single trip. And that's a whole other layer of things to do. And it's not that it's stressful, but it's a different experience when you're on your own. And it's a different experience when you have your whole family.
Yeah, it's more complicated.
It's more complicated. So that was actually fun. And I got to spend more time with the people that I knew there and meeting new friends, spending more time with them that I would have just went back and hung out with my family. So that was a good experience too. So, kind of working in whatever works best based on what chapter we're in our lives, and knowing that we do luckily have the freedom to kind of keep our lives simple enough that we can navigate and not act like lunatics, hopefully.
Yeah. I mean, except some of the time, right? We should always have a little time to get weird and be a little crazy. Something you may not know about me, Tara, is I am very passionate about time by myself. And I also am very big on, even when that shows up as dropping my son off at school, we just moved to the suburbs, the 3-minute drive home, I will out loud be like, I am by myself to really make sure I'm by myself right now. This is a time where I'm by myself. What do I want to do with this moment? Because in parenthood, you don't get a lot of that. And, we're still those memories of lockdown quarantine life are fresh. We really weren't by ourselves. And I was in a small apartment and we really were just on top of each other. It's something I'm very passionate about. So I'm very happy for you that you also had this opportunity to go and have that time. And it's not just by yourself, but with yourself in this place, in this space, which is so important to then being able to honor where you're at right now. And something you said that I think is just, want to talk about a little more because I think it is so powerful, is you mentioned even preparing to get pregnant, how the awareness around the pace of your life was going to change, things slowing down, right? Or, maybe slowing down is too... not the right wording, but just the pace is going to change. You need to make space for something else. Other things have to give. It's going to shift from ping-ponging around the world, and how getting pregnant wasn't the one time that happened. That's a continuous thing of when you're speeding up and when you're slowing down. And I don't know, I would just love to hear more from you about noticing that, feeling that, moving through it, strategizing sounds a little too, aggressive, but being present with it and being we do need to shift.
Yeah. I think it's cool, your alone time thing. I really like that because I completely, before Daisy, I completely didn't appreciate it. Mike and I would come home from an event or whatever and just hang out on the couch and watch movies in the middle of the day, and then decide we're going to go get brownies and coffee and then come back home and then go meet up friends for dinner. And then I would stay up till 4 a.m. and work on a project, and my time was my own. And my time is my own now, and I think all parents have this moment, whether they had it before or after. I did not have it before at all. But the first phase of her being in the world to now, I feel like I've gotten less stressed about it from the inside, but organizing my time with her, organizing my time without her, just figuring out what the heck I'm doing instead of just taking for granted that I can be up any hour of the day or not. And now it's it's not so intense of a feeling inside, but I'm much more grown up, I guess, just organized.
Yeah, no, it really is. When you're a creative person, this is something. I'm having another baby at the end of May. So all of this stuff I've set up is just going to explode and we're going to slow way down and then build from there in this whole new place. And it's hard, like, as a creative person, when it's like, but sometimes I'm inspired at 11 p.m. and I got to get this stuff out, and it might take me till 3 a.m. But if I do that, I am so screwed. So, like, I guess I'll just, like, jot down some notes, go to sleep, and, like, fingers crossed some of this is there in the morning. Or, like, when the babysitter's here or like while they're napping. Like, it's a lot harder. I mean, in some ways, I think it can help creativity having, like, these are my hours, and, like, you get into the habit of, like, it blooming then, but, like, you can't always control it.
Yeah, it's a pickle.
And we're back. We're in a pickle.
That.
No, I love it. I love it. It's a real pickle.
Oh my gosh. It's so true though. So now, do you have this too? So she goes to, actually right now, I sent them away. So I must have been channeling your values, but I sent them away to the playground because they have much more breaks at school than we ever had. I had Christmas off and maybe, I don't know, New Year's Day, but they're on winter break right now, which is ridiculous. So they have a whole week off of school.
Didn't we just have winter break?
She's in kindergarten. What the heck? So she's home all week, which is fine. And I'm grateful and all of these things. We just organize it around it. And I have Mike together. So I have a really good situation. I can do whatever I want and they can go do stuff. But they're at the playground right now. I just sent them away because right now I wouldn't have this time. She'd be bouncing around. We'd, schedule something to do, going out and playing or whatever. But when she's in school all day, I feel like what's weird about it for me, and maybe you feel this way too, because I feel like, you've created your own work hours and life, but there is this 9 to 5-ness of the whole thing that makes me feel a little bit weird because she's dropped off, she gets picked up, and then it's like, okay, now I have to come home and go to work. I'm like, wait a minute, I don't want to come home and go to work right now. I want to go do other things, but this is the time. And like you said, oh, maybe I'll bloom during this time. That does not work for me. I for some reason, this phase of my life, it's the morning and then I'm done unless I have to do something. Then I want to go do something else. Then later I'll pick something up. So these hours she's at school does not work. It does not work for me.
No, I think that that is so much more common than we talk about and hear about. And that's like, I also like, I think also because, I mean, and this totally fits like my story, like the years as in ballet class and then as a professional dancer in theater, my first husband, like I am very much like now at this point, I'm like, I spent 3 decades doing what people told me to do. Don't tell me what to do now. Like, and I still, when someone tells me what to do, like I have a reaction. I'm like, Alyssa, let's not have a tantrum. Let's like be an adult about this. We've evolved a little bit. But those constraints can feel like, well, you know what? I'm not going to. I'm not going to because this is my time and I do what I want and you don't tell me what to do. But then there is also like, but if I don't do it now, I don't know when it will, like, when is it going to happen? Because I have to do it. And again, like as an entrepreneur, like building your work is also like, you love it and it's demanding and consuming, but also if your kid is around, you can't. That is also too consuming. So like really finding the place and managing, balancing the two when both are constantly changing. And that also like feeds into that pace thing that you mentioned that felt really important to me is like the pace of both are always ebbing and flowing and shifting. And so it's a real pickle because you can never figure it the fuck out.
Yeah. There's no being perfect at this except for everybody who is, and that's great for them.
I know, but then I'm like, is it it really perfect, or are you like forcing it? Like, is it so like rigid, like we're making it that way? And then what are we losing by doing that?
Yeah. I don't understand the perfectionism thing. I don't even know if it's a thing. Like you said before, it's like vapor, your therapist. So that's pretty, I keep thinking about
grabbing
that.
at mist.
It's like a rainbow.
Isn't that really powerful? Yeah. It's pretty. I want it. Why can't I grab it? Right?
Yeah. It doesn't, there is no, well, I guess coming back to the thing that I like to do, which is movement in this way of improving. And, with yoga, and I'm sure with everything, with dance too, there is no end point. You have to go through the movement. So there is no, like, just knowing there is no there. And I catch myself all the time. Oh, once I do this, I'll do that. And then once I do that, I'll do this. It's like, just keep going.
Yes. And then I find that anytime I get into that place and then I'm like, okay, yeah. And I'll just like check all the boxes is when everything that I have been building that feels really good kind of either stalls or falls apart. Like it doesn't even stay neutral. It's just like so clearly not what I should be doing. Like everything. And I'm like, oh yeah, I got too linear about it. As opposed to just taking the next right step and like moving through the mist rather than trying to grab it. Whoosh, right?
I feel like we need a field trip together where we just go to one of the great adventures and we just go through those misting things.
That's
the cooling mists.
Yes. And see, like a really, oh my God, what is the term I'm looking for? Like a, location specific improvisation. There was a much more elegant way of saying that. Site specific. That was the word I was looking for, which isn't, I built it up more than that. But I remember talking about that a lot in college, like site-specific work and site-specific improv and working with the environment and all of that. But really, yeah, like getting in there and experiencing that and being like, yeah, this is really connecting to that. Because, I mean, really, that's what we're all doing. And like in a yoga practice, how many people become fixated on having the perfect, even downward dog. And then then it's forearm scorpion, right? Like people are trying to do, vinyasas with many handstands in between. And I'm not knocking that if that's your jam and you can do it. That's pretty cool. But also like,
Well, if that's the goal, I mean, it's the hardest challenge for me, but this is why I love leading yoga. When you focus on moving well, and then the next thing is focus on how you feel, it takes the pose completely out of it, but then you're able to do the pose anyway, the move or whatever. But if you just focus on being an acrobat, you're never going to be the best acrobat, not even close.
Yeah.
And you grew up dancing. I never saw yoga as an endpoint of what poses you could do because I was a dancer and the general poses they're not meant to be hard. They're not meant to be complicated. We can make them super hard if you practice in this kind of isolated, specific way of, and then I'm going to move this and this and this. And then it's all a bit ridiculous if you just move into the movement and focus on how you feel, which is more of a whole experience than just trying to get your body in the mist because it doesn't exist. There is no one ideal place. Those yoga mats where it's like your hands go here and your feet go here, that it's ridiculous because it doesn't work for anybody. Nobody's hands and feet are going to go in those places. It may be a pretty design, but it doesn't really mean anything.
That might be very supportive to the alignment of the person they used to create those measurements. But like that person could be 6'3". I'm like 5'3" on a good day, and I have a different body. And that's something like, I practice yoga, but I teach Pilates. And so it's very alignment based and it can get very rigid in that. And that these are the rules. Your shoulders go here. And I remember working with people who are like, I just can't get my shoulders there. And I'm like, well, like, I'm going to be honest with you. Like, I'm looking at your body and like, I don't think that's where your shoulders are. Like, I think when you do that, you're in a back bend. Like, your physical body, your alignment is this. And that's what we have to move from. And coming from that perspective of what feels not easy, but like comes with what brings ease into your movement and into these shapes. That is what's right for your body. Aren't we all like, wouldn't we all like a little more ease? I don't know. I'm not looking for like more hard.
Right.
I feel like life is serving enough of that.
Yeah. And, you know, you can, the funny thing to me is we all go around to some degree making the easiest things hard as well. You know, yoga or Pilates, you could do one thing and then just, I gotta do it better.
Oh my God. And dance also, it's everything you do. Like,
and you're just doing, you're doing the easy thing. What happens when you get to the hard thing?
And what is wrong with letting things be easy? Right?
Yeah, that's like, when you can feel something, you know, that's when you're able to connect. And, you know, the whole thing is about being in a comfortable seated position. You know, they don't start by saying get in an awkward seated position that you just feel miserable in.
Yeah, get real uncomfortable right now. I want you to not be able to relax. If you can take a deep breath, you're doing it wrong. We Completely want sharp, jagged, shallow breaths, right? Like,
be stressed out the whole time.
We definitely want you to leave feeling worse. That's the goal. But it is, there's a fear around finding that. And I think that, you know, that's making me think of what we talked about earlier with, you know, you adjusting to the pace of motherhood and wanting, you know, creating the space to be with your child and have your business, where some people don't do that or don't know that they can, right? Because there is a fear of slowing down. There's a fear of things being easy. Where, like, do we need that fear?
No. So many other things to be afraid of.
Yeah, like we need that fear when it comes to like putting our hand into a fire or like stepping off of a cliff. That's a good fear to have to keep you from doing that because you're going to hurt yourself. But something being easy isn't going to hurt you.
Yeah, well, you learned dance. I learned dance. And then when I started learning all the healing arts that aren't performance-based, like Tai Chi and Shiatsu and Ayurveda, those kind of things, they say the same things, but there's no end point or really looking at point. But in Tai Chi and in dance, if you can't do it slow, you can't do it fast. So when you can really do something well that's simple, you can do so many more harder and harder and harder and harder things. So once I really kind of continued to explore that, I noticed it looks like I'm slowing down. It looks like I'm taking my time. I feel better. I'm moving with ease more, all of those things. But then I kind of look at what I'm doing, and I'm doing a heck of a lot more when I do that than I did when I was just doing another approach or doing something else. So I think that's the kind of ninja thing of it. It's like, we're like, oh, I have to look stressed out in order to show to myself that I'm doing a good job. But when you're doing the things that you're doing, you're not doing them, but you're doing them in a way where you're noticing yourself, taking care of yourself, all of the things, you can do more. And at least that's why I love leading yoga, because it's not about, oh, just relax, don't do anything. It's no, we're going to do the hard stuff, but we're going to do them in an easy way. You're not going to be stressed out once it gets harder and harder. Your body needs to relax more when things get harder. Your mind needs to relax more when things get harder. And then you can do more. And I didn't make that up. That's what all the great people say in the books and in the old people that are still alive. And your great grandmother will say the same thing. But all of our generation is totally, tricked that we need to be stressed and panicked or just giving up and doing nothing. It's really hard to find that way of sustaining work and ease at the same time. But I think it's just so cool. It's such a huge opportunity to do that, do things in that way.
Totally. And then you're really involved in it the whole time, and you eliminate that feeling of where you just kind of like open your eyes and look around and you're like, where am I? How did I get here? Like, what just happened, you know? Which I talk about that in my first one woman show. I talked about that with like when I really like looked at my marriage, it felt like when you're out at the club dancing and like at 3 a.m. and you're like slaying it, you're swinging your hair and you're like drunk and nailing it on the floor. And then like they turn the lights on because it's time to go home. And it's like, actually you look like trash and it smells like beer and vomit and is like a disaster. And you're like, what? I got to get out of here. And it was like that with my whole life. It was like the lights went on and I was like, why am I here? Like, this is not what I thought was happening. But because I had just sort of like the blinders on. And I think that's like a really common thing with certain things. Like we set a goal, we set an intention, and then it's great to be disciplined and focused on that. But if you put on the blinders so much that you really aren't a part of how this is evolving and what's changing, you're no longer a part of it. Like you are dissociated from it. You're just kind of, you're in a vacuum, and then you'll wake up and be like, wait, what? And you miss out on so much, right? Like when we slow down and have that just ability to be present the whole time, we have a full experience.
Yeah, it's better.
It's just better. Why are we afraid of easy and better? These sound really good.
Yeah, it's good. It's hard to feel good. I mean, the first kind of funny moment that I had exploring this was in Germany, of course, because the Germans are the Germans, but my experience of leading a lot of German people is they're so open. They'll show up and sign up for things. But, you know, I got them into a Warrior 2. And this one woman, she said, okay, I'm in my Warrior 2 and I'm in the alignment. And now instead of freaking out like I normally would do, I relax my mind a little bit and I relax my body a little bit. And guess what? I feel better. So when I sit back, when I come forward, I can get through the whole class without not being able to do it. And she said, and that's great. And it's so cerebral. I can't even really like understand this. But then she said to me, but I'm in the Warrior 2 and I relax my mind and I relax my body. And I know I can get through the rest of the class without freaking out. But then I have nothing else to do. So I just put it back in. And I'm like, no. Like, no. Why did you sign up for this? And so I'm thinking when you've done it all and you feel good, you have more mind space. And this is the whole opportunity to now notice what's going on with you, what's happening. And if you don't feel satisfied with that, then open yourself up to what's going on around you. This is awareness practice. You know, you want me to say in an Indian accent? Will you trust me then? You know, it's like, come on, guys. So it's difficult for people, but I've seen that resistance change so much over time leading this, and also with people's attitudes. Just being in Singapore with younger people, the Gen Z now showing up to class, they've, you know, this is generalizing, but this one girl, she was doing something on her laptop and I come up to her like, hey, what are you doing? She's like, oh, I'm finishing my paper, but I'm here to take care of myself. And I'm like, that's awesome. You know, she's like, I'm not going to stress about it. I'm going to put it away. I'm working really hard, but then I'm here. You know, you're the teacher that's all about moving with ease and feeling good. So I'm here for that. And let's do this thing. And I'm like, I don't need to say anything to you. High five. You know, you don't need any lessons from me.
I know. Like, do you want the mic? Do you want to go stand in the front? Do you want to teach? Like, I'd be interested in your class.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's awesome to see that. Also, like the younger generations are even more keyed into this than we are. Or it's,
well, we opened the door for them.
No, we did this for them. We did this for them, just like generations before us gave us the opportunity to be able to be in this place where, no, it is. I think it's a bit more natural because their parents were starting to do this, and these conversations have been happening around them, that it's a bit more integrated into what they expect out of life, which is really exciting.
Yeah, I like it. You know, the first 10 years of teaching Strala and going around, it was a lot of kind of deprogramming. People would share their yoga horror stories of, oh, this happened to me and this happened to me. And how do I get out of accepting these things happening to me? And I only noticed in the last couple of years going around, young people have said, well, I haven't had a bad yoga experience. And they'll look at somebody else in the training who's probably 10 years older and say, really? That happened to you? A teacher did that? Or you injured yourself in yoga? I can't even imagine injuring myself in yoga. Why would I put myself in a position that would cause injury in yoga? And I'm like, yes, we are here. This is good.
Yes, it's happening. It's happening. It's happening right here. Yeah, it's exciting to see. And it's such a, I don't know, maybe we can use that as inspiration to explore the ease and the better that feels a little scary, right? I was just thinking about a conversation I had with my niece, who's now 11. We were out and we were with my son, who was like 2 at the time, and he pressed an elevator button and these people came on the elevator and they were like, oh, like he's going to be pressing all of them in no time. And like, little boys are terrors. And I was like, no, he's pretty good. Like, we're just going there. Like, is there a floor you like, maybe he could press the button for you? And they were like, yeah, we're going to 5. And, you know, he pressed it and then put his hand down. And when they got off, I said to my niece, I said, you know, I don't know, like, why do people expect the worst of kids? I was like, that really bothers me. Like, they act like kids are just like these animals or are dumb. I was like, you're not dumb. And I said that to my niece. I was like, listen, there are things I know that you don't know because I've been here longer. So I've had more experiences. So I can reference things that, okay. And when you're my age, you will know them also. But I was like, you're not dumb. I don't think you're like, as a result, I am smarter than you. Like I think there's also sort of a hesitancy to open yourself up as a student to someone younger than you, to the younger generation, which is, again, like cutting us off from some really great stuff.
Yeah, the kids are cool.
The kids are cool.
The kids are cool. I definitely hung out with lots of younger people in Singapore and I loved it. And I had a few things, not that I was looking to teach them just in conversations, anything, but you know, they asked me some questions and I told them what it's like to do that or do that or do that. But it's definitely different than older people when we were that age too, I think. So it is pretty cool. And I guess I'm probably similar to you, just being open. Little kids say cool things that are just kind of right on. And if you actually pay attention, some pretty good one-liners in there.
Yes. They're really, I mean, because I was going to say they're always so present. And I think that's true, even in their self-centeredness, right? Because they were supposed to be, right? Like they are until what, 25? It shifts. Like it's like a long time. And that's part of what they're supposed to be doing. But at the same time, like they're learning everything and seeing everything. And they're absorbing it and reflecting it. And if we open ourselves up to that, we have a lot to gain, which is the same thing. Like if we are in Warrior 2, if we open ourselves up, there's a lot of information. And that's, you know, when I teach, that's a lot of what I talk about. And I find fascinating about how we move our bodies is that the way that we are moving and holding our bodies really has so much information of like just what we're up to in life, like how we are showing up in the world, how we are handling things emotionally, what's going on mentally, right? Like if I'm muscling through every pose and I'm like, no, I'm here to squeeze every last drop out of this and I'm going to be rigid. I'm going to do it perfectly. Like I probably don't want to work for you. Right? Like, I know enough about who you are as a person and the way you're going to show up that, like, that's not really something I want to be a part of. And also, like, you're going to herniate a disc or like tear something because it's too rigid. It's too much, right? Like, and the way that we can get that information from our bodies and deprogram through movement.
Yeah.
How these things transcend off the mat. Yeah,
it's pretty cool. I mean, that's it. That's the whole thing. I mean, that's for me why I love this idea of improving, because if you're not even if you think of yourself as a leader, everybody's in a leadership position. We're all kind of walking around, leading each other, but just walking around, looking. And it's so easy to see it on somebody else, how someone else is walking around at the playground, how they're moving their body. And then you can see, oh, they're doing that. Am I doing that? How you're moving. It's maybe easier when you're in a Pilates class or a yoga class to see your tendencies, your posture, how you walked into the room, how you left the room. Were you freaking out and then you started and you're like, oh, now I need to relax, whatever it is. There's always so many opportunities to make yourself more full of ease, full of how you actually just want to be, whatever that thing is. You could, do it better the next breath, the next moment. And for me, that's the coolest part of practicing this stuff. And then also the coolest part of leading it is just this chance to kind of watch the show of everybody else walk around and say, oh, I bet that person is having a hard time in their relationship. I don't know anything about their life, but I can tell by the way they're holding themselves that maybe something's going on. So maybe after the class, I can put myself nearby and then maybe they come up and tell me something. And if I wasn't paying attention to that person, I wouldn't notice anything and I'd miss that opportunity to make a good connection and maybe help them. So there's so much to do with exactly what you said with body posture and movement and tension and giving up and all of those things in between that we're just going to have a lifetime of things to keep ourselves busy with.
Yes. And totally. And, it's exactly that also like noticing when we notice that in other people and then simply being like, what am I doing with my body? Like, am I doing that? Or maybe I'm not doing that, but what am I doing? What is happening that also keeps us? I know I'm not trying to like force this, but I feel like this is something that like in my mind, I'm going to continue to keep thinking about. And that's also because I'm totally feeling this with getting ready to have another kid and, sort of having so many feelings about this changing pace. It's that awareness that then you develop that just sort of sensitivity to the pace is changing. So how am I showing up? And is that what I need right now? Do I need to find a little bit more ease and surrender in this? Or do I maybe need a little bit more engagement that will actually, even though it's engagement, that is going to bring me more ease, which is, I don't know, this is a new pace. And then you can be curious about it and find that right balance for you, which again, it's going to change again. So like, don't get too attached to it, but right. Staying present in that and how to then more easily and just better navigate your way through it.
Yeah. That's
right. It's just bringing it back to that awareness.
Yeah. I noticed with our chapter, Daisy is just turned 6. She's running around. I'm busy again because the world's open and I'm grateful to be invited to things again. You never knew if it was going to happen again. It's like round 2, here we go.
No idea.
Do people still want me or not?
A big change of pace. Yeah. Like, what are we doing now? Do you remember who I am? Do you want this? What are we doing?
Yeah. Yeah. So I feel like I need more vigorous practices. So I'm doing more, and she's running all the time at the playground. So I'm literally just going after her. And that's not something I would normally do. So I need to, like you said, be more vigorous and bring more energy to my body. I need to do more stronger yoga practices on my own than just relax and chill and all these things, which I would love to just be doing. So I need that in order to maintain the energy to exist how I want to exist in my life right now, and just to keep everything a bit more in balance for my own well-being. Otherwise, I would feel lethargic around my life. And I need that extra boost right now, which seems silly because I do yoga all the time. But no, I need more body on my body. I need more vitamins in my system. Like all these things. I'm like, I need more energy. And I feel better.
To step into this pace in it. And that's actually going to create more ease rather than just more being more.
Right.
And then what's probably going to happen, I mean, maybe not, we'll find out, but like you'll adapt to that pace and be in that. And then you're going to actually need to slow down again. You're going to be like, I don't want to slow down. I feel really good. I feel really strong. I feel powerful. Like, you know, and then it'll be again that there will be attention to finding the release. And it's going to go back. You know this, it's going to go back and forth. But I feel like as humans, we're always looking for like, no, the answer is then the vigorous practice. So that is what I will do forever. And it's like, no, sometimes you need to put your legs up the wall and hang out.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. No, I'm excited for you. I hope everything goes as smooth as possible for your delivery and
oh my God, me too.
Everything.
It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
We'll
soon. Be there. It's you know.
Oh my gosh.
Well, and that's the tension that I feel is that I feel so much creative energy, right? I'm literally creating a human. Like I'm just like filled with creativity, and I'm slowing down. I can't like both like literally, like if I try to go up the stairs too fast, like I can't. I'm tired, you know? And so I'm like, but I want to. And it's like, no, we're actually slowing this down. And so recalibrating what that pace is, what does balance mean now? And I also am feeling more drawn to like more strength practices. So I'm honoring that because that really does feel good. And I'm like, this also feels funny because I'm this, but I also like probably need 2 naps. Like, you know,
sounds great.
I just, and it's a little bit like, I have no idea what this is, but the answer isn't figuring it out and forcing anything. It's exploring it and being curious about it and being present in it, which is also like annoying, but also beautiful. It's a real pickle.
Oh my gosh. How many times have we said pickle? We should give something away. I'll knit a hat for somebody if they count how many times and send it. Can we do that? Yes. You will get you can choose your color.
Are you kidding? A custom knit hat from Tara Stiles for the first person who
counts it up.
Who DMs me the right number, who counts it up and DMs me the number of times we said pickle. That was another one. That
Did
one
I
counts.
just create more work for you? I'm so sorry.
No, I think this is super fun. This is work I want to do. That is,
I'll send it wherever. And international is okay. I don't want to exclude anybody.
No, everybody.
Fine. Yeah, everybody's included.
Everybody's included. That is so generous. It's so fun. Pickle. Those count too. Don't forget those. So we'll have to tell them you listen all the way to the end.
The whole thing.
To get your custom hat. Tara, thank you. Thank you so much for so generously and openly and graciously and all the G words, gifting us your time today to have this conversation and sharing your insight and humor and yourself. Really, thank you so much. This has been so fun.
Oh, you're done with me already? Don't be done. Can we stay longer? The kid is gone. I have time. No, I'm just kidding. You can go back to your life.
Okay, I'm going to ask you one more question.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you one more question because it relates to what we've talked about. And it's a question I like to ask because it's, again, something I'm quite passionate about. Tara, what is your favorite thing to do by yourself?
Okay, besides eating pickles.
Are you more full sour or half sour?
I like the big full ones, like the giant Bubby's pickles. But I'll take any kind of pickle, bread and butter pickle, the stick, whatever you got.
Dill pickle.
Just no pickle juice.
No? So you
I don't know. What do I do with pickle juice?
So you don't do whiskey picklebacks at the bar? It's when you take a shot of whiskey and follow it with pickle
I am
juice?
not that cool. I drink root beer at the bar.
That's cooler, honestly.
Alone?
Nap.
You nap?
Yeah.
That's good.
Nap?
No, not for me. Not so much in this phase. Knitting really is my little nerdy thing that I love to do. I'm working on a Afghan right now for my mom. So first Afghan, I've knitted a bunch of knitted. I don't know if that's how you say it.
Potato. Well, that's
Pickle.
like text, texted, text, pickle, pickled. Pickled is the past tense of pickle.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so great. And I feel like that's also very on brand, right? It's so meditative.
It's fun. And I use this really thick yarn. I cheat, I use this thick yarn. So it's beautiful. It's like, well, here's a little coaster I have here, but it's, then you get something quickly, which is nice because it works better that way.
That's awesome. Yeah. Small project like that.
Yeah.
I tried knitting and I couldn't get past a scarf, but that's so good for me. And I used to crochet a bit, but I would end up making either hats or like purses because I couldn't master, like I couldn't figure out, and I could have like asked someone, probably watched a YouTube video, but to like go around in a circle and to actually let it get wider.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's advanced.
I think my counting and where, like, there's a very simple answer that I don't have.
It's okay. You've moved on.
That I've moved on. I've moved on. I love that.
Yeah, it's fun. It makes me feel good. I bring them on the plane and it's kind of fun. I always wonder if I'm going to get them confiscated from security because they're these giant spears. They are giant spears.
Yeah, I mean, they're weapons.
And usually they open up the bag, which is fun. I'll like build in some time to the airport just to have this extra connection with the security person. The last time I was on a plane, I opened up the bag and the lady said, "Oh, you're knitting." And then they take it to the back because they're giant. And even though they are for knitting, they could also be spears. So yeah. The guy in the back said, "What the heck is she knitting with that?" So I owe him a hat too.
I said, sweater.
Just tell me your favorite color. I'll ship you a hat to JFK and we'll call it even. But no one's confiscated them yet. I'm waiting for someone to take them away, but then they'll just knit with them and they'll be happy too. But it hasn't happened yet.
I'm glad they let you have them. Also, like, I mean, should they be letting you have them?
I don't
should
know.
I be nervous about TSA now?
Like now I'm thinking somebody might see that I have them and they would attack me and then they would have them and that wouldn't be good. But no, so far it's been okay.
That would be a real pickle.
That would be a pickle. It's like, and I'm sure maybe you've had this issue with traveling with the small children with the liquids you bring on and milk and things like that. Actually, one time I brought on a tiny yogurt from the airport and it was in Dubai or something. And the TSA said, "Oh, this is for you. This isn't for the baby." I said, no, that's for the baby. That's all she'll eat on the flight. She's not going to have the braised beef, whatever they give you on the plane. Like she's going to eat yogurt and this is a 12-hour flight. But they let us have that. But I had to just beg for that. Otherwise it wasn't going to happen.
I know that is such an unnecessary source of stress with flying with little kids. Cause you need 600,000 snacks.
Yeah, because you don't know which one they're going to want to eat.
No, and even if they have like the thing that they always eat, if that's the only thing you bring, that's going to be the number one thing they're not going to eat.
True.
Because that's how.
And mine does not eat pickles. Does yours eat pickles?
He does.
He does. Wow.
But, and we've had conversations about like, I like really sour ones. Tricked you. You thought I was going to say, and I didn't. I said sour ones. Just making sure everyone's paying attention. And he didn't like that. And I said, sometimes you do like it. Sometimes they're not as sour. Sometimes they're more sweet. Sometimes, so he'll always try it or he'll ask, like, is that sour? Yeah.
He's a
very adventurous eater. the amount of salmon sushi in particular that this child will eat is disgusting. It's disgusting. And I just always joke, I'm like, well, Everett, now you aren't going to go to college because you eat too much sushi.
Why? Because of the mercury in the fish, or what? No,
because it gets expensive.
Oh, I was like, is that going to damage the brain? I was confused.
No. He'll be super smart from all the omega-3s and all of that.
Right. Okay.
But we're just going to be poor.
The budget's just been blown.
The budget.
Okay,
I'm like,
sense.
you ate your college fund in raw salmon.
You're going to have to start making your own sushi.
He loves it, which is great. I mean, but he doesn't like the green stuff.
Oh,
the wasabi.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that's spicy. Yeah.
Yeah. Daddy likes that. He doesn't like that. And I'm like, yeah, no, it's too spicy. But he's fun. Oh my God, he's so funny about it. But it really is great. That. And also like smoked salmon. He will eat so much of it that it's kind of gross. But again, like it's great, but it's also just like, please don't barf that in particular. Like,
oh my gosh.
Yuck.
It's good.
Yeah. I mean, he's easygoing like that, which I appreciate.
That's amazing.
I do need to let you go.
I know.
I need to, well, because I know, but I want to hang out because I have a doctor's appointment.
Oh, okay.
Got to go.
Good.
Which I also don't know if today, I feel like I'm supposed to get the glucose test, but nobody mentioned the glucose test. So I don't know. Maybe next time.
Okay. I hope it all goes smooth.
Thank you. And what are you going to do now with the rest of the time that you have by yourself? Are you going to knit?
I'll probably knit a little bit. I'll catch up with some little odds and ends things, and then I'll just go meet them at the playground because that's more fun. It's a nice day.
That will be fun.
I'll go out and hang out with them. Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Again, Tara, seriously, thank you so much. And I'm so glad we got to hang out. Let's do it again.
Yes, please. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure.
Thank you so much for sharing your precious time with me. I am so happy that you're here. I hope this episode resonated with you and maybe even inspired some insight into the myth of motherhood and how that shows up for you in your life. If you found yourself nodding your head along with this episode thinking, oh my God, did Alyssa read my journal? Or I feel so seen. Or even I'll have what she's having. You can. Check out our incredible community over in the private Facebook group Moms Club and visit me at alyssa-alter.com to download your free guide to the 20 things no one tells you about pregnancy and postpartum. Remember, there is no one right way to be a mother. There is only your right way. See you next week.